All right. Good morning, everybody. Hat Chat in the Morning is live on YouTube. See if we can get some folks in here if that's possible. Da-da-da-ba-ba. Mhm. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm. Just inviting my hat people to come interact with me, and hopefully we can get somebody in here. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or just past that. Got my cat making noise upstairs. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get some of my hat people in here. Let's see. Let's see. See if there's there's any other way. This. Let's see. And let's see if I have any others I can. All right, let's see if we can get some visitors here. My phone won't stop buzzing. All right, let's see. Let's see if anybody in my hat community wants to chat this morning. I mean, it is pretty early, especially for my West Coast folk. But hopefully, I catch some folks before they even make it out to work. Completely understand that. Actually, let me go grab some coffee while I'm at it. I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. Hopefully, they won't mind me posting this on the Fedora Lounge forum. I am part of their Facebook group. I'm trying to remember if I managed to post on there. Let's see here. All right, I did post on the Facebook group. I didn't post on the actual forum itself. I have no idea what kind of rules they might have for that. Technically, it would be a segment. I think it would actually fit into what I'm wearing today. So hopefully if an admin or a moderator corrects me, it won't be the worst thing in the world. Again, I know it's a new type of format than you typically see, but I think that's what's also exciting about it. Let's see. Yes, buddy. That's my cat. Let's see here. I got some likes on the original YouTube video. So that's good. I'm gonna probably just preemptively ask for forgiveness if I'm breaking some kind of form rule here by sharing this on the in the thread. Yeah, we'll see. All right, and let's see if, and again, completely try to just be respectful of various rules. I'm just not always aware of what the rules are. I think everybody kind of tries to assume positive intent. Definitely trying to be positive with everything. Hence the name Good Lukes. Let's see, it's having trouble. Why is it having trouble? Let's see if I do that and it gives me what I need. Okay, it's not sharing like I think it should. Let me see if I redo this link, if that will fix the issue. I ran into this issue yesterday. I don't know why it's giving me problems. It should work. I don't know why it's not. Let's see if what are you doing, Oliver? See if wonder if I choose a different. If I choose a different means of doing this, okay, that's not what I want. I wonder if this can I be as media? Why can't it be embedded as media? What is it that you want? Maybe this will do it. I don't know. I just don't know why I won't. Let's see if I go into the help. Let me use the media button in the local editor tool. Let's see. I wonder if this is what I need to do. Yeah, I don't know why it's giving me hassles, but let's see if I can work my way around it. Okay, let's see if this will do the trick. I have no idea. I'm basically just winging it. Okay, that didn't do what I thought it would do. Let's see here. It's just something I can see in the HTML code that something is amiss. Just don't know what it is. But I guess that's kind of the fun in all of this. I guess I could just do the straight link, and I just like to see a preview. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be basically the preview. Let's see. This is all kind of brand new to me, and even though I'm hopeful, I kind of know that it probably is wishful thinking. Again, okay, I mean, all I can do is, well, do what I can do. I don't think we've had anybody pop in. I was briefly looking away. But yeah, hopefully this was blasted out to enough folks that we'll get at least a person to interact with. The idea is that hopefully in the future I won't have to like advertise so heavily and waste everybody's space to try to get folks in here. But in the meantime, I'm going to caffeinate and, well, just see what happens. It's a little warm here. I had to put the AC down a little bit lower. Let's see here. Did I not post on here? Let's see here. It's always a little tricky to find out where I've posted. just don't know. Okay, I see. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure I don't violate any rules here. I see. Okay. Well, what I've been noticing is that some of the Facebook groups do not like the live invite. I mean, that's okay. Whoever owns those groups, then they're more than welcome to to their rules. I don't know why it would violate a hat forum rule, because it's not a photo, I guess. Doesn't matter. That's okay. What I have been doing is just leaving the groups. I've been a member of way too many hat groups. So just so that I don't violate their rules again in the future with these live streams, I'm just choosing to leave the group, not offended. I understand whoever owns the forums have their own hat rules, and that is okay. I just want to not violate them in the future. So, in which case, I'm just opting to leave the group, and that way I don't violate any rules in the future. I just don't want to have that kind of interaction. I don't want to leave a bad taste in people's mouths with this content. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to interact in real time with my fellow hat nerds, if you will. So that really is kind of the goal, not to piss anybody off in the process as well, if I can at all help it. Let's see. Let's see if I can enable this. At some point I'll automate all of this, because it is kind of a little bit of a pain to kind of get these rattled off. But if I keep getting scared away from forums, I guess I'll have less forums to post this in. It's just a gift and a curse. Let's see. I'm just trying to keep tabs, if I'm able to, of which forums are amenable, and then that way I can kind of just not post any ones that are not amenable to the content. And again, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm forcibly kicked out. It's just not how I want to go about things. Let's see. I think I noticed a couple forums that I haven't hit yet. So I'm going to try to do that. Again, if you're a member of one of those forums and you see this and I'm violating sorry. Just decline my post or have some way of communicating that to me. That way I can kind of just leave the forum. Um, and I'm just trying to reach out and, get folks to interact with me. That's all. Don't mean any harm. Definitely not trying to knowingly break any rules. So I'm not streaming to Twitch today. I may just decide to leave that platform for at least for right now. It's just the software is not that I'm using to do the multi-streaming. It's just something's up with that. Streaming directly to YouTube has been a lot more reliable, so I'm gonna probably just stick with that. As much as I'd like to have a multi-platform stream, I'm a member of many different other platforms. I just think that this has been much more reliable. Big on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube. So this has always been the primary place for me to do my content. So, yep, there goes my cat again. So yeah, I don't think I've had any visitors so far. But again, it's early on the East Coast, and it's people got to get ready to work, and I can totally understand that. Anyway, it gives me a chance to caffeinate. I know we are a very small community here, so that's okay. Let's see here. So right now, this segment, I'm calling it Hat Chat. So I don't know if I don't know. It seemed kind of like a catchy name. Hey, somebody joined us. If you joined us, post a comment. Let me know what's up. How your morning's going so far? If it is morning, I'm assuming where you're at in the world. Yeah, it's all right. They took off, and that's okay. Not everybody wants to interact. But yeah, the way I'm envisioning this is slowly but surely getting the word out. Um, just sharing my hats, sharing. Again, I am not somebody that knows. I guess, I consider myself a newcomer. I'm still learning. There's a lot of knowledge out there. Like I said, I'm on the Fedora forums, the Fedora Lounge forums. Folks there are way more knowledgeable, and I've learned a lot from them. Um, and I'm just trying to do my little part for the hat community, as small as it is, and just like I said, interact with fellow hat nerds, kind of keep learning, and just start conversations. This is what it's all about. Hmm. Let's see here. Yeah, I know. I know. Nobody's here yet. He's just begging. You're a little beggar. He's a sweet boy. But I've kind of ruined this cat in terms of him feeding him every single time he meows at me. And yeah, I gotta stop that. He's just he's basically me in cat form. Um and just wants to eat all the time. So let's see if I can grab another cup of coffee before anybody pops in. All right, I am back. Got some more coffee. Um, just waiting on anybody to poke their head in. I am really liking the YouTube streaming format. I'll tell you that much. Um, it just is easy. Again, in all fairness, I have not tried live streaming directly from Twitch. I'm assuming it would be just as easy. It's just right now I have a bias towards YouTube only because I'm on YouTube all the time. So, and if you're watching this and you watched my stream yesterday, my hat chat in the morning, I guess, first segment, kind of, you saw that I was preparing a brown bowler for sale. Well, that sale went through successfully. If you recall, this was the hats in the belfry, the modern hat. It was a brown bowler. And, if you're on the Fedora Lounge, you've seen that I was selling that. And well, I made the sale. It was actually a kind of funny story. The whole interaction. I think that's kind of the allure of the face-to-face interactions for me. Again, I have sold some hats, via mail. I don't sell on eBay. I just feel like I've avoided that for a variety of reasons. I do prefer the face-to-face sale. But yeah, it was a kind of a funny story. I think I told it on the afternoon live stream. So check that out. Even though there's not a whole lot of hat content in that live stream, that's why I didn't give it the formal segment. But what I'm hoping is hat chat in the morning becomes a regular thing. I'd like it to be. I'm not opposed to doing hat chat in the afternoon or hat chat in the evening. I'm assuming when folks start coming in here, um, and I start getting a gauge of when would be a good time to start streaming, then I'll try to fit that into my schedule. Just right now, I'm just taking advantage of having it be in the morning and me having some caffeination under my belt. And two, I've been trying to walk. And that might be something that I do. I mentioned this in the previous segment where I've been trying to make little tweaks to my lifestyle. Getting rid of coffee is not one of them. But one of them is trying to do a lot more walking. And the weather, that's weather permitting, I prefer to walk outside, but there's just certain days that I'm not going to be able to. And having a under the desk treadmill, I do have a standing desk. So if I got a treadmill, I could be out here walking and talking, you know. And who knows, maybe you guys will be doing that too, and you guys can walk and talk with me. But yeah, I don't have a treadmill yet. That's something that I will have to kind of on one of the things on my list of many things to do. Yeah, I thought about just doing straight posting, and the thing is, once this video live stream gets done, it gets automatically posted to YouTube. So I just figured it's killing two birds with one stone. I'm just somebody that has a lot more fun when they're interacting with other folks, maybe answering questions or just having a chat. So that's why I kind of want to talk. I call this hat chat because I really want this to be kind of a dialogue or a conversation amongst folks, and realize that it is not always everybody's preferred method of consuming content, but there's so much video out there, video content that exists already, and I just feel like this is a niche or niche, depending on how one says it, that I don't know. I don't know if I've come across it. I think Kevin from Hats and Guitars started out doing kind of a hat talk segment. I don't think it was live, but it was a hat talk segment. I remember he had guests that would come in and talk. I think that was still when he was working at the place. I won't name it, but yeah. And I thought that was really cool. As opposed to kind of just the standalone video. Again, I won't probably have many guests that come here directly, but I'm not opposed to doing like a Teams chat or Zoom call or what have you with other folks in the hack community. It's I think that'd be great. So if you have, I put this link on the Fedora Lounge. If anybody sees this while I'm live or after it gets posted, then they are welcome to collaborate with me. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of ideas, but if you do, and it's something that sounds like fun, then I'm down. Always down for fun. Especially if I can have some coffee. If I can have some coffee, then even better. I don't think anybody would deny me that. Why would they? Caffeinated Luke is way more fun than uncaffeinated Luke, I'll tell you that much. A lot more lively. I'm approaching the 40-minute mark on this live stream. I think I had one person that popped their head in but didn't leave a comment. That's okay. It's not required. I am hoping that at some point I do get somebody. It's just a lot more fun for me. Let me have some fun. Let me have some fun, please. Oh yeah, I follow Meyer the Hatter, and I've never met him, and he's based out of England. Sorry about that. Uh, and I believe he's 100 years old now. God bless him. God bless him. I mean, this was something I mentioned on the live stream yesterday, is that a lot of these old hat shops, you wonder how long they'll stick around because, well, if they don't pass the business on or sell it, so pass it down onto um, a a relative that is willing to keep on the tradition, or sell it, which can be a mixed bag as well. You wonder how long these hat shops will exist. Oh, we got another follower. Uh, Post a comment if you're with us. And you don't you're not required. Just out here trying to talk about hats and by myself. It's a lot easier when I have somebody to talk to. Um, so that's cool and welcome. And yeah, I was just talking about the hat shops. I was just on Facebook and I had, I follow Meyer the Hatter, who's based out of New Orleans, I believe. And the fact that he's 100 years old. He turned 100, and I think based on what I've seen the from the content, is that he does have family that are in the business, I believe. And somebody knows, they can correct me. But that's kind of the state of affairs for a lot of hat shops whose owners they've been around for a long time, and we don't know. I mean, 100 years is a long time. And then you hope that they have family, they have the next generation that's able to take over the business and keep it going, especially with the same family within the same family. It's just, I believe that is the biggest issue that's plaguing a lot of small businesses these days, is that the next generation usually doesn't want to take over the business. They're not into having, let's say, a restaurant like the parents had. The whole idea was probably to set up the restaurant, make it big business, and just pass it along to the next generation, and then just keep getting passed along. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, because there's so much opportunity there for the next generation. Um, the kids grow up and they're like, I've been eating and sleeping hats, restaurants, or whatever the business have you, for forever. I don't want to do that, mom and dad. Um, I want to do something else. I don't know, do the traditional, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become whatever, which is great, right? Because there is that opportunity. But at the flip side, for the folks that love this niche, love the hats, you kind of like, wow. Then you're just hoping that somebody else that has the same or even more passion for it, is able to acquire the business and, you know, make it keep running, and hopefully hold any tradition, that has been started by the previous owner. So Meyer the Hatter, and I think there's a place in Cincinnati called Batsaki's, that's been around for a long, long time. Again, I have not had a chance to visit any of those two hat shops, but I know their reputation. And you just hope that you're able to kind of keep that going. Otherwise, it's just one less hat shop that people have the chance to go to. And then, we know that there's been online businesses that have taken a foothold, and that could have also been part of the demise of some of that, of some of those hat shops. But it's not the same. I think we have one hat shop in the DC area that, I think they cater more to like church hats, primarily geared towards females. So I have not had a chance to visit, but I think they do have general hat inventory. And you're like, as far as I know, it's an older lady that owns the hat shop, and you're kind of hoping like that hat shop's been around for a little bit. can it continue? I was in Newark, New Jersey, uh, last year, and I forget the name of the hat shop, but it's, if you kind of know the area, you probably know the Hatter. It was a haberdashery, and I was really hoping, because I went to the address and I was really hoping it was still there. It's not. There is a store that does still sell hats. I just don't think it is a core hat shop. It seems like a more urban, kind of streetwear slash whatever, kind of place. So I didn't really have the chance to go in there and kind of browse around, but it was really obvious that this wasn't the haberdashery that existed at this location. Um, and that was a little sad, right? Um, so I think that's kind of the way things are going. And it's just like I mentioned in the previous live stream, like hat wearing in terms of like fine hats, let's just call them fine hats. I don't know where that term originated. It's kind of a little bit, sounds a little pompous. The fine hat industry, with fedoras, the Hamburgs, the bowlers, and what have you. It's not what it used to be in the, 50s and 60s, and even the early 70s. So all the great hat companies that we had kind of went by the way of the dodo, and what we're left with is the folks that managed to reinvent themselves, right? So you have, I mentioned Kevin Gerber. Kevin Gerber has his own hat line now, but he works primarily with McGill, and they're based out of Canada. McGill's been around for quite a bit, I believe, and they're a legitimate modern hat company with history, and they make great hats, quality hats. But at the same time, you're like, there's we're kind of like a very small community. So like not everybody can own 8,000 hats. I know I don't, and I can't. Like I said, I still stand by. I got more than one, less than 100, which will hold probably forever, because I don't think I'll ever just have one hat, but I can't do more than 100. I think at my frenziest, I could never do that because I just don't have the space for that. And I'm not somebody that will just keep a hat just to keep it. I mean, I try to cycle through my hats. I can't. Like even what I have right now, I can't cycle through all those hats and wear them. That's why sometimes I will sell them. If somebody really wants them, I will sell the hat, unless it's like this hat right now. I'm not selling this hat. I love this hat. I was just out in a walk with a walk, and I went out for a walk outside in this hat. I'm not selling it. I mean, that's not true. I mean, I'm sure if you offered me $1 million, I'll sell it. But you know what I mean? Like there are hats that you kind of know aren't like your core hats. Like I don't know what I'd do without you hat. This is one of them. Yesterday on the live stream, I wore my Knox Tom and Jerry. I love that hat. Like that hat this is a lot better shaped hat than that Tom and Jerry. That Tom and Jerry I got from Kevin Gerber, and it's just one of those hats that you're like, this is one of those forever hats. Like this one goes when I go from this earth, which hopefully won't be for a long time. But you never know. But there are hats that kind of like you saw it somehow, some way, and you like, I gotta own it. You grab it, you pay for it, and own it, and then you're like, you find yourself later on, it's like, man, don't might find myself reaching for that hat, like I used to, and that's when you kind of just, either post it for sale, or somebody says, hey, do you want to, do you mind selling that hat? And then you're like, okay, I will let it go. As long as the deal is fair and the terms are fair, and then somebody else gets to own that hat. And hopefully, and like for me personally, I'm like, hopefully it's not a hat that will just get added to the collection and it becomes part of us everyday wear. or not. I mean, I don't tell people, I don't pretend to tell people what to do with their own hats. Your collection is your collection. If you have, um, a wall queen, I guess, that's just sitting there and decorative. That's your business. More power to you. But for me, I try not to do that, even though I had a hat wall. I no longer have that hat wall because I moved. But I may resurrect that hat wall. And but the idea behind that hat wall wasn't just for decor. The idea behind the hat wall was to have something where I can look very readily, and like also it's decorative, right? It is decoration. Um, but the idea behind that was, what hat am I wearing today? Right? Like I posted this in the what hat am I wearing today, because that is the spirit that I try to hold on to. Um, which is, I know I have my favorites, but at any given time, X, where X becoming the number of hats that I own at the time, I will grab that hat depending on how it makes me feel at that moment, and I will grab it and wear it that day, or maybe just for that specific segment of the day. Maybe I'll cycle through hats at various parts of the day, and it just becomes another part of your attire, kind of like your shirts, kind of like maybe your watch or your shoes or whatever have you that you have multiples of. And it gives you options. And, we know that options aren't always great. Sometimes being a one watch kind of guy or a one hat kind of guy, there's benefits to that, right? I think the research and the implementation by folks that are really into things like minimalism, uh, uh, and how do you save time, there are really good benefits to having one piece collections. And besides the fact that it reduces clutter, it reduces decision making time, right? So when you get up in the morning, if you just only own one or two or three hats, now your decision is a lot less cumbersome about what hat, or what watch or what shoes I'm going to wear that day. It just is, because you have less options to choose from. And that's actually a good book. I am not a very well read, but a good book is by I believe the last name is Schwartz. I'm not going to say the first name because it's not coming to me, but it's called The Paradox of Choice. And it goes through a variety of examples of situations where, the idea is, it's a commonly held belief that having more choice is better. But in actuality, choice, it can be detrimental towards decision making, right? So there is a cost that comes with having a lot of choice. It delays decision making, and sometimes just having a much more concise set of choices is excellent in situations where being decisive is more important than being correct. And I am fascinated by that. I find it to be really true. It has not done a whole lot for my hat collecting. It's not impacted my hat collecting, but it has impacted other aspects of collections. For instance, like watches. Um, I love watches, but I have a very, very small, tiny set of collection of watches. And they all kind of mean something to me. And I find that it's much easier to choose what watch I'm going to wear um, for today, as opposed to what hat I'm going to wear. Uh, it just right there, I've just given you a really poignant example of the kind of verification of this paradox of choice that Schwartz talked about in his book. And I think we all kind of know intuitively, right? I mean, we talk about like folks with outfits, right? Everybody kind of knows that prototypical Steve Jobs outfit. He had the blue jeans, and then he had the black, I believe, sweater. He had the black top, and I think he had white sneakers to go along with it or whatnot. I don't know if that was part of the one choice outfit, his uniform per se, but he had the same exact reasoning. Now, this is a guy that started one of the most famous companies in the world, and he said he had to make too many decisions every single day, and that wearing the same outfit. I don't think he had just one version of that outfit. I think he had multiple blue jeans. He had multiple black tops, and he just in the morning, it's just grab a clean black top, grab a clean pair of blue jeans, and your outfit is set. That's it. Ready to actually make real decisions that day. Another person that makes me think about that, I talked about cars yesterday, but now that he's a YouTuber full time, he quit his late night talk show, is Jay Leno, right? Jay Leno has his car collection. He has every fantastic car that you can imagine. He has basically a museum of cars. But you look at his outfit, has the same blue jeans outfit, like a denim top and a pair of denim jeans that he wears every single time. Now I'm pretty sure it's not the same exact set of blue jeans with the denim top. I'm sure he just owns multiple versions of that. And it frees up his cognitive capacity to make actual decisions like, which car am I going to drive today? Which car needs maintenance today? What am I going to do? How am I going to get my next big car purchase? Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And I try to match some of that. I mean, I don't own, I have multiple tops. I think I have a lot of black t-shirts, undershirts. And that's because I find that it goes really well across my wardrobe. And that's that. That's all I can really say about that. I just think it's a concept that blows my mind every single time I think about it. And I try to implement that to the best of my ability. It doesn't always work out. But yeah, it's really cool stuff. All right, so we had a couple folks poke their head in. Nobody dropped a comment. That's okay. Um, Hopefully, like I said, this stuff takes off, or maybe I'll be here talking to myself for forever. It's not the end of the world. Um, yeah, in the meantime, I'm just going to sit here and have some coffee, kind of tend to administrative tasks. And if somebody pokes their head in and drops a comment and starts a conversation, I'll do that. Otherwise, it's cool. I think I've already had some decent hack conversation. Not a conversation, but more like a monologue. Speaking of Jay Leno, right? Was kind of what I've been doing here is just a straight monologue for about an hour or so coming up. And but it kind of shares a little bit of who I am, what my thinking is like, you know, and hopefully somebody sees this. If not now, but later when it gets posted after I end the live stream, they see this and like, you know what? I will drop a like, I'll subscribe to the channel, and maybe I'll even hit the notification icon so the next time Good Luke's goes live, I'll engage him in conversation. I can't promise. I don't know. I try to be a good conversationalist. I try to be just straight positive and engage. But my ability to do that waxes and wanes. It waxes and wanes depending on the season. Sometimes I get into like little funks where I'm just not as social. And obviously, pre-caff, I won't even get on camera without like having had some caffeination. If I do, it'll be complete accident. And I think you will know when Luke has not had any coffee, because yeah, I'm just like, I'm just like, if you see me without, if you don't think I've had any coffee, then tell me and I'll try to make some. Not that I always forget, but sometimes it helps to get a reminder. Nobody should have to deal with an uncaffeinated Luke. I mean, caffeinated Luke is already a bear to deal with, but at least he's talkative. Uncaffeinated Luke is basically non-functional. Like I wouldn't probably how to figure out how to start a live stream without my coffee in the morning. So, you know, and it also helps if I go on my walk. I am a creature of habit. I think we all kind of become creatures of habit. It's a gift and a curse, right? I think once we get, and I say this in my description, just a middle-aged guy. I am, if you couldn't tell, middle-aged. And I've gotten this far by starting and refining routines. And I'm not always good at keeping those routines going. But when I find myself not keeping those routines going, I find that I become like one of those robots that is malfunctioning, right? It's just like the haywire, right? I am somebody that does a lot better when I have a nice routine. Um, and this is something I think that's why I had taken so long to start this YouTube channel. I've been on YouTube for forever as a user, but less so as a content creator, only because I could not make this a regular part of my routine. It just didn't work for me. I just had ideas about how this content should look. Obviously, you get some really great content creators on YouTube, and you get blown away and you get intimidated because you're like, wow, how am I gonna do something that looks as good as that? And then I just got to the point I'm like, okay, I just moved into this new place. I don't have everything's like scattered around. Like my wall is bare again. This is a good time to just start some fresh habits. Like reintroduce old habits that I got in the way of that were good for me, like walking, and start some really good new habits, like this YouTube channel. I think interacting with my fellow hat nerds and being social, um, and just seeing if I can keep this going. Just keep it going, right? Um, Everybody knows that life happens. I don't know what life has in store for me tomorrow, let alone next year, let alone 5, 6, 7 years from now, if I am lucky to be around. But I think this is something that I'm really happy to have undertaken. Um, and hopefully it becomes a regular part. And if it does and it grows, great. If it doesn't, well, that's okay too. It's probably for the better, right? It's probably really good that this channel, as bad as it probably looks, is not like not too many people are seeing it. So hopefully, if you are rocking with me early on this YouTube journey, you have some feedback. I'll try to incorporate what I can with that feedback. No promises. Sometimes I'm a little set in my ways. Um, I've just kind of like I mentioned in the stream the stream, it was probably the day before yesterday, but the last hat chat stream is just like my my hats. I'm not show quality. I'm not going to be somebody that you're going to be like, holy cow, who's your editor? I'm like, no. Unless I can get my cat to edit my videos, which I don't think, with the lack of opposable thumbs, I don't think that's going to happen. My cat will probably, if he could talk, he'd tell me, yeah, I'll do it for a meal. He's basically the wimpy of cats. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. But just never follows through. He's just unreliable, that cat. He's only reliable for asking for his next meal. That he is like clockwork. All right. Well, I'm about an hour and 5 minutes, and I'm not feeling like getting out of here. So I'm gonna probably just, I don't know, browse the web and kind of putz around and see what I can do. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't even know if it's something I want to do. Um, there is the idea of perusing hat content while I'm live. I don't know. I have a one. I don't know. So, like, if I were to go and highlight some of the content that folks put out on the Fedora Lounge, I don't know how folks would feel about that. Um, you know, uh, uh, Again, part of me is like, well, if you're posting on the forums, you're kind of wanting to share um, your content with everybody. That's why you're posting on it. But I don't know. I don't know. I want to be respectful of everybody's privacy, I guess. I don't know if privacy exists when you start posting to things like the the internet, just the Fedora Lounge or any forum or any kind of a platform. I think you kind of just assume that whatever's there is there to be consumed. I know legally, yes, but I don't want to be one of those folks that kind of like I don't know, violates that the spirit of the people's content. Um, but yeah, we'll see. It will give me something to kind of react to and for our viewers to react to, and I like that. But the main thing is I don't have any viewers right now. It's just me talking literally to nobody. Like, this is like, I'm able to see if somebody's in my chat. Nobody's I have a couple people poke their head in. Nobody dropped a like. I don't think anybody subscribed, um, and that's okay. Um, that could just be a function that I'm not very engaging. I am okay with that. I can live with that. I I'm okay with that. This just like my comedy and my jokes, when I start dropping them, I usually aim to please one audience, and that's myself. you know, and if anybody else thinks it's funny or gets a laugh out of it, that's just icing on the cake. But as long as I'm happy, that's kind of I've already got my check mark. Let's see if I got any notifications. Twitch has been blowing me up with the notifications. So I think I mentioned this on a previous live stream that I went and I created a Good Luke's account in as many platforms as I could. The idea would be that maybe YouTube, if YouTube isn't the place to reach out and get the hat community, I could find something, I don't know, on Kick or Twitch or TikTok, um, you know, that will reach the audience. I know TikTok is like the big platform now. I've never been on TikTok. I now have a TikTok account. So it's either Good Luke's as spelled on this YouTube channel, or it's Good Luke's with two zeros instead of the two O's in good. I believe most of my platforms are one of those two. Again, just because I have the account doesn't mean I have something set up. I do have a Good Luke's Instagram account. So that I post on kind of regularly. I haven't posted any real videos except for like my old hat collection, but I do post a lot of photos on there. By a lot, I mean a handful. I don't have a whole lot of followers. I think maybe I got about 100 followers, which is fine. But you can hit me up there. I have a Twitch account, like I mentioned, but again, I don't know what the future of Twitch is. Like right now, I'm not streaming to Twitch. I'm just streaming to YouTube. I think I'm gonna just stick with YouTube right now. I really want to try to make this work on YouTube. It's familiar. I'm constantly checking it. A lot of people have it because I think you only need a Gmail account to have technically access to YouTube and to make comments. So I'm gonna stick with that. I might decide later on down the road to increase the platforms, except like I mentioned before, my multi-stream platform software that I'm using has been crapping out on me. I don't know what it is. Part of me thinks it's the software, right? Because the software that I've been using has been in beta form. And we know kind of how anything beta operates. It's supposed to be user friendly and actually is. So I've been really happy with the setup, except that in implementation, certain times I'm able to stream all the way. So like I've streamed for 3 hours straight. And then other times, probably depending on what kind of layout I have, the stream will last 40 minutes and then crap out on me. And I don't know what the source of it. I have a lot of things going on in terms of my setup, right? So I have a desktop that I think is pretty, it's not like up state of the art, but it's a fairly juicy desktop that I think could handle. It has a dedicated graphics card that I think should be able to handle something like multi-streaming. So I think that's fine. I got a brand new little camera, cute as all get out. But again, I heard it's a resource hog. So maybe that is what's causing the issue. The camera's too much for whatever I was trying to do. Or like I mentioned, it could just be the software that I was using to try to stream to multiple platforms. Maybe that was crapping out. I do know that OBS is a open source platform that's widely used. I've shied away from it because it's not as user friendly, but it is a tried and true software that people rely on. I don't know. I'm not opposed to trying out OBS and seeing how that works. It just is harder for me to make the commitment to it now that I know that YouTube, streaming to YouTube directly is working so well and so reliably, and I haven't had really much fuss with it. So for right now, I'm gonna say I'm sticking just to YouTube. I might change my mind later down the road if I find that if I have new data that says, you know what, I really should be streaming to TikTok or streaming to Kick or Rumble or whatever the other platforms are, then I'll do that. I don't want to lose out on audience only because I'm alienating with my platform. But at the same time, the easier I'm able to make this for myself, the more of it I can create as a routine, and I can keep that routine, and I can try to pump out steady content here and interact with you folks. Hopefully, interact with you folks in the future, and not just do monologues while I drink coffee. Let's see. We're approaching 10:20 Eastern Standard Time. So just trying to see if I get any hey, just got my post approved by somebody on the on one of the groups. It's always helpful when you have when you have supportive folks, right? So on these Facebook groups, and I get it for the folks that have rejected my invitations to engage live. I am completely okay with that. I wish it was different, only because some of these Facebook groups that I've been part of, I've contributed heavily to, so I was like a little more hopeful. Um, that the folks that are running these Facebook groups would be a lot more amenable to this new format, this live stream format. Um, I just think that it can only, like, everybody wins, right? So obviously, I get folks in here interacting, and we get folks engaging with other hat folks, which I think is the reason why the Facebook group started. I mean, I don't know why else you would start your own Facebook group if not to bring um, fellow hat people together and interacting. And if there's a platform where they can do that, maybe that's just viewed as competition. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's okay. I will assume positive intent, whatever reasons they have for rejecting the content. I'm like, I am okay. It could be a blessing, right? We just talked about the paradox of choice. Um, if I get rejected by certain Facebook groups, what I have been doing, is just leaving the group. Again, not on bad terms. I just want to make sure that when I'm posting out my content, it is something that's not going to be well received, that I don't repost the content. Um, it's just something that I don't want to keep pissing off the admins on these Facebook groups and create any kind of ill will, because that's not the whole point. That's not the point of this. The point of this is kind of just reaching out and trying to get some of my hat people in here and having conversations about hats and who knows, maybe some new hat people, budding hat people come in here, and we can get them to become even bigger hat people, and grow the community. That's how I think this should work. We're kind of a small community already to begin with, and not cooperating with each other and giving each other a lift. I just think it's sad. I mean, there's too much uncooperation, lack of cooperation in this on this planet to begin with, and we're scattered all over the place. Through these Facebook groups and through these forums, I have interacted with folks in the Netherlands, folks in Germany, hat people in Australia, all over the globe. Besides the good old U.S., and this is the power of social media, and it has the power of bridging boundaries, and bringing people together that otherwise would not be together. Um, so I'm just trying to add to that. There's a little droplet with my big honking 18 subscribers that I got right now. Like, by the way, if you're watching this and you haven't hit the like button, you hadn't subscribed, please do so. Unless you really just don't want to, and I'm okay with that. If it's something where if you don't happen to catch one of the live streams, you can always catch the video after it gets live streamed and watch it at your leisure. But ultimately, increasing the subscriber count, I think it will do something for getting more hat people to see this in the mythical YouTube algorithm that exists that I have very little knowledge about. If you can share this with your other fellow hat nerds, that'd be great. I'm just trying to build a consistency here and build an audience that I can interact with, bounce ideas off of, and just, yeah, just have good conversations and just get outside, my normal bubble here. So, all right. As far as excuse me, as far as I'm aware, my stream is still live. Um, so that's good. I was jaded by that software. It really was a crapshoot in terms of um, whether my stream was, I kept constantly checking. So I still have some of that, and I probably will still keep doing that for as long as, well, up until I'm absolutely sure that there's no way that my stream's not on. But it's good. I've got 3 views. That's good. I'll take 3 views. You know, 3 views today, tomorrow 4. Right? I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe 0 after you see this. Um, I am okay with that. Again, um, this is as much for me as it is for everybody else that happens to kind of like this content. And I think I still have some coffee. I'm gonna keep doing that and keep drinking coffee, and this stream will last as long as my caffeination takes me. So just give me a second, and I will go grab some more coffee, and I'll be right back. There, I unmuted. Got some more coffee. Definitely, caffeination levels are peaking right now. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, I got somebody on the stream. Hello, person, whoever you might be. Thanks for joining us. Um, all right, and now you're gone. That's okay. The stream from 2 days ago, I had DCA 321 who asked some fabulous questions. I was like, wow, that was like when I went through that DCA 321. If you watch this video, um, later on, and you happen to find stream, thank you again. You had fantastic questions. I could not have asked for a better like setup in that segment. It really did kind of solidify why I wanted to do this live streaming and start this to begin with. Because I think that's those kind of questions sometimes it just forces you to think about things that you just take for granted, you know? Like when you get the question about how people react to seeing you wearing your hats. I thought that was brilliant. Um, I think that's something that I'm sure has been covered in other segments, but for like, let's say a new viewer, or somebody that is just getting into hats, you really I think those are kind of things that people think about, um, you know, before they decide to pull the hat trigger per se and start going out and wearing hats, fine hats, um, not just the traditional, like the typical baseball caps and trucker hats that you see a lot more of nowadays. Um, it's that's a brilliant kind of topic. And those are the kind of things that I'm hoping that, you guys will throw at me. And you guys will have questions that I don't know the answer to. And because I don't know a lot, what I don't know could fill a encyclopedia, several. But that's when I come here and I get to learn from some of you guys. I think that's kind of the benefit of all this, or one of the benefits for me and for anybody else that's consuming this content with me, is that we'll learn. And I don't think you're ever too old to learn something. I try to do the what's called the Kaizen principle, continuous learning. The Kaizen principle is borrowed from Japanese industry, and it was big in the 80s, right? For those folks that are a little bit on the older side, if you were working in the 80s, I wasn't working in the 80s, but lots of folks, it's something where if you grew up going to school after the 80s, you heard a lot about the Kaizen principle. It might still be taught. Again, it's been a little bit since I've been in a formal educational setting, but the Kaizen principle was huge. I think there's a book called The Toyota Way, which I'm sure I have not read the book. I know of the book, but I'm sure it's chock full of probably things that would be attributed to the Kaizen principle. And it really is kind of just the idea of continuous improvement, right? And I love that concept, right? So Toyota might call it Toyota Way, but shout out to Toyota. I own a Corolla myself, and but the idea of continuous improvement, I think, has such application beyond just machinery and production, right? So the idea of continuous self-improvement is really at the core of what I try or aspire to do, right? We are works in progress. I don't care if you're 12 or 112. We are all a work in progress, up until, we reach the end of the road. And I just don't think so. Obviously, folks
are set in their ways, right? We had to have that. I think the research will say that personality is pretty much set by the time you get to about 30. And it's been a while since I've actually dug into a lot of that kind of research, but um, yeah, I can see that. But even then, doesn't mean that you stop refining and fine tuning who you are and who you want to become, right? Life would suck if we become final form and we stay stagnant. I think stagnation is a depressing concept, right? Even sounds worse. It sounds like stagflation, and not to get into economic terms, but stagnation sounds like stagflation. Um, and it just sounds very negative. And nobody wants to be stagnant. That's why we are collectors. All right. I mean, we're part of the collector community. Because the idea is that, who knows, maybe our collection becomes kind of that part of that continuous improvement, self-improvement process, right? You're constantly, uh, reflecting yourself as, well, your collection reflects kind of how you want to put yourself out there as. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that's good or not. I like to view this more as like your collection is just a drop of a small part of who you are as a whole. Like I'm not completely defined by my hat collection. Um, I think there's a whole lot more to me than what is hanging on my wall. At least I like to think that way. Um, but yeah, to each his own. The main point of all this is that you want to, I feel like continuous self development is something that um, everybody should want to aspire to. I don't think you're ever too old for it. Um, and it just reminds me of like we were just talking about um, the research, and anybody that's taken Psych 101 will remember Abraham Maslow, right? Abraham Maslow is a fellow uh, Brooklynite, and from Brooklyn. And he came up with, if you guys have remember your Psych 101, the hierarchy of needs, right? The pyramid of needs. Um, and you had your basic needs right at the bottom that were foundational. But the idea is that as you move up towards and start fulfilling those more basic needs for like food, water, etc., and what have you, you start ascending and start working on your higher order needs. And your higher order needs eventually get to the point of self actualization. Um, and I don't know what, I guess that would be nirvana, if that's how you want to term it. But when you become self actualized, you're a lot closer to your, I guess, your final form, if that ever something that you can get to. But I always love that concept, even though I know that a lot of research doesn't necessarily back up those various stages. I think intuitively, Maslow's hierarchy of needs exists and continues to exist, and it's still taught because it makes intuitive sense. It's a useful framework for discussing this whole process of life and living. It has lots of application that makes intuitive sense and is useful for people to guide their day-to-day living. And that stuff just blows my mind. I mean, I if it's not coming across now, then I don't know how to make it come across. But um, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you haven't taken a Psych 101 class, you definitely want to look that up and kind of sink your teeth into some of that, because I feel like it has a lot of applications that go beyond what people tend to look at it as. And I think a lot of kids look at that and they're like, this is just something that I have to know so I can pass the test and get a good grade in this class and keep my GPA up. And I just feel like that's a whole nother set of concept that I probably will start talking about, probably won't get into now, but I'd like to. I mean, it's not hat content per se, but it is important content. I don't want to limit this channel to just talking about hats and to talking about my New York Mets, who lost, by the way. Again, they got swept by the Cleveland Guardians. So if any Cleveland folks out there, good, good on you. Your team beat us at home in our backyard at Citi Field for 3 straight games, and we just played atrociously. Anyway, I won't dwell on that. Today they're off. Tomorrow's a new day to try to get a win and keep our playoff hopes alive. Anywho. Yep. I mean, I'm still caffeinated. The stream has gone on for about an hour and 35 plus minutes. I'll still stick around if I can get somebody in here to chat, then I'll do that. In the meantime, I'll just futz around and wait for that to happen. But I feel like I got a pretty solid monologue going for some content here. Like I mentioned, I think I mentioned, today I am wearing my Dobbs 25 Golden Coach. I will display this hat a little bit more. Well, the plan was if I got somebody in here right away, I would have talked about the hat, and maybe got some reactions. But I do love this hat. It's one of my go-to hats. It just goes really well with just about any outfit. It's just one of those beautiful, beautiful hats that I managed to acquire, along the way. And I'm like, immediately when I wore this hat, I knew it was golden. How about that, Coach? Anyway, the Dobbs Golden Coach hat of the day. This is the hat I'm wearing. We just got somebody to join. Drop a comment if you like the Dobbs. This is the Golden Coach, which I believe is made in the 1960s. Like I mentioned, this hat is one of my go-tos. Yesterday, I wore my Knox Tom and Jerry, which is a lot more beat up than this hat, but it's beat up. Well, one, it came pretty well worn when I acquired it, and I just can't stop wearing it. I wear it, and the sweatband's all jacked up, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Like I said, I buy all these hats to enjoy them. I don't always get to wear all my hats because somehow, some way, they don't make it into the rotation. And then I start thinking about whether I need to find it a new home. And sometimes I do, and that's great. But this is one of those hats that I'm like, holy cow, I love this hat. I mean, I love all my hats, and there was some reason why I made it part of my collection. Don't get me wrong. But I think the folks that kind of are part of the hat community, they probably have, it's kind of like your children, you're not supposed to pick favorites, but you probably do have them. And this is just one of those that I'm like, oh man, I love this hat. So it's a Dobbs 25 in a gray color with the black headband. I think it's a classic look. It goes pretty much well with anything. So I've worn this besides black because obviously, that's just a no-brainer. But I've worn this. You've probably seen photos that I've posted either on Fedora Lounge or on Facebook. I've worn this with a blue shirt, which it really pops well with a blue Guayabera shirt, which is the style I typically favor. It's just a gorgeous hat, and I'm really proud that I got to acquire this one and make it part of my regular outfits. So like I mentioned, it's from the 1960s as far as my research can tell. And and it's a Dobbs 25, which again, I don't know a lot of the designations, but usually the 25 means that when Dobbs first put it out in the 60s, it would cost you $25 to have to buy this hat. And I'm no expert, but I think even in the 60s, 25 bucks was a pretty steep price to pay. So I got to imagine that the 25 is probably one of Dobbs' pricier lines. If you have any information on this, then you're watching this, then you can chime in. I'm just kind of telling you based off of what my research tells me, flawed as it may be. But yeah, this is one of those hats that I'm like, man, I really, when I started this YouTube channel, I'm like, okay, I got to get this hat on there. I got the Knox. I think I wore the Knox for like 2 days, 3 days in a row, because when I wore it, I was just like, I love that hat. I love it. If you were watching my previous stream, you saw that I had a brown bowler that I was preparing for sale, right? So that brown bowler was a hat that I had to have, but then I would find myself not wearing it every day. Somebody made me an offer on it, so I sold it, but I had to go meet them. But when I went to go meet them, they were coming from a ways away and they couldn't come to me, which is my preference. So I agreed to meet them at the local mall. So I go out to meet them at the mall with the idea that, okay, I haven't been to the mall in forever. I would think a lot of people, given like the state of the malls these days, a lot of them are on the way out. But I haven't been to that mall in so long, and it's a nice mall. And I figured, okay, let me go do this hot sale, and then I'll go check out the mall. So I'm wearing my Dobbs, not my Dobbs. I wear my Dobbs now. I was wearing my Knox 20, my Knox Tom and Jerry, and I had a few folks that said, "Hey, nice hat," which was lovely. It's just not something that you go out expecting. Like I said, I don't go out wearing one of my fedoras expect that people are going to react to it, and compliment. That's what I meant. Maybe reaction is to like, I kind of do expect the reaction only because I know that people don't wear hats. I think you don't all go out expecting a compliment per se. All you're really kind of just hoping for is just do what you got to do for that day and, not get hassled, which I've never have been, which is good. You just want to go about your day, wear your hat because that you love your hats. And then, if it turns out that somebody goes off and says, nice hat, then great. I can't complain about that, I think this hat in particular, this Dobbs 25, I've gotten a decent number of compliments. And the nice thing is that I've gotten compliments from younger folks, which is great. I think I was at the local supermarket a few months ago, and I had somebody, like a group of teenagers, who looked like they were probably in middle school or in like the beginning stages of high school. They were like right behind me. And one of them just went and say, "Hey, mister, nice hat." And then he gave me a fist bump. I was like, man, that's great. I love that. As a kind of middle-aged guy, I'm like, again, he could have been completely trolling me. That's fine. I assumed the positive intent, and I returned the fist bump. I'm like, hey, I just sometimes I feel like people want to interact with you because maybe they think a certain, maybe you remind them of somebody, right? I think I get that quite a bit, that if I had to like pick out a comment besides nice hat, another comment I get when somebody actually chooses to engage me in conversation is that I remind them of, let's say, an uncle, right? It's like, you remind me of either a granddad or an uncle, hopefully, a favorite uncle. And not somebody that like, yeah, that guy, everybody hated that guy. It's like that's why I engaged you, because I wanted to see if you were that uncle and I punch you in the nose. I have not had that, and I hope I don't remind anybody of their like deranged uncle. I've not had that happen. I don't know how I'm going to, respond. If that ever does happen to me, I'll try to be gracious and not say something snide and snarky. But yeah, I get a lot of that. Of you remind me of like an uncle, um, and yeah, I think that was one of the hats that I purchased. Remember, I talked about a lot of my. I try to go for hats that are face-to-face sales, and I had one hat that actually is. I don't think that hat's in my collection anymore. It might have been a hat that I sold. Um, I could. It's hard to keep track. But the nice thing was that when I showed up with the hat, the person that was selling the hat said that I reminded them of her uncle, who's no longer with them. Um, and that was touching. I'm like, I don't know if I have one of those faces that, just I remind people of folks, but I think hats kind of do that, right? Hats in a way can kind of be like a uniform. Um, and I thought it was touching. I mean, like, it sounded like like her uncle was a beloved member of the family, and you could see that she was the kind of that, and I kind of was touching, but because I felt like love there, um, and I think it kind of endeared me because I think I became less of a scary stranger at that point and more of a nice reminder of somebody that was a trusted member of the family. So I thought that was really neat. Um, and yeah, like those are kind of like what helps fuel the itch to get out there and do more interactions. Again, I don't consider myself a hat seller per se, so I don't know if that's just semantics. I think if you sell a hat, then technically you are a hat seller. It's certainly not a thing that I started doing to kind of. I didn't get into this to become somebody that sells hats. It's just something that happens. I think when you become a collector of anything and you decide to engage in barter, trading, selling, and all that stuff, you do it so that you can one, there's a social aspect, right? You go to and engage with your fellow hat nerds. Um, and as a collector, you know that somebody could be wanting that hat more than you do, right? And you do it as a means to either one, fund your next purchase or reduce your hat right in the herd. Um, I think Lord knows that a lot of us probably have more hats than we know what to do with, and we get to the point because either you start running out of space or you get family members that tell you, "Hey, man, can you do with less? Like, I can't find a place to sit at because you got hats all over the place." And you just finally decide that you're going to let go of some of your hats, as difficult as that might be for some of us. And the benefit is that you hope that hat goes to a fellow hat nerd or a budding hat nerd, right? You could be selling somebody their very first fine hat. I'll keep using that term. That way people know I'm not referring to a baseball cap or a trucker hat. No offense to those who are into those kind of hats. I'm not. Um, yeah, you just want to kind of see, it's like, all right, I for some reason this hat made it into my collection because it had something that drew me in. I don't know if that was just the price, it was the look, it was kind of like the possibilities of what could be. But now that has waned, and now it's time for this hat to find its way into the next owner's hands. And how do I facilitate that? And for me, like a lot of that, the benefit, like sometimes when I'll decide to finally get off my butt and put up an ad, like a lot of my hats usually go because somebody sees my posts on Facebook or the Fedora Lounge, and somebody will make me an offer. I'm always open to that. I mean, like I said, there's some hats that I probably won't ever sell. There will just be something that once I'm gone from the earth, maybe loved ones will, I'll become that loved one, hopefully beloved, for somebody, and they'll say, yeah, cousin Luke or Uncle Luke or whatever Luke owned this hat. He wore it all the time. Now it's time to find a new home, because we're not hat people. And that's okay. All I could hope for is that, something like this Dobbs 25 and my Knox Tom and Jerry, if I don't ever sell them, will find its way into somebody else's heart and into their hat collection, or preferably onto their heads, if they happen to have the same size noggin as me. And who knows, maybe they'll find this video, they'll find Good Luke's, and they were like, holy cow, I now own Good Luke's video. Sorry, Good Luke's is Dobbs 25. And you have some sort of idea of the history of the hat. I think that's another pull for a lot of us that are into vintage hats, is that, holy cow, somebody probably bought this hat brand new when it was manufactured so for this Dobbs 25, it was in 1960. And now I own it. Holy cow. That's like, can you imagine what that hat, like what kind of memories what kind of memories were made while wearing that hat? Right. Like I said, I think right around the 60s is when you started seeing, people always talk about like the Kennedy administration kind of being like that, the swan song for the wear of the fine hat. Hey, good morning, Patricia. How are you? You just caught me waxing poetic about like the history of hats. All right, good. Are you at work right now? All right. All right. Well, hopefully, what are we at? We're like right around, like we're close to 11 a.m. Are you breaking for lunch? Finishing up with a student. Can they hear me? Oh, okay. Well, student, you are wrapping up your lesson. Make sure that everything goes well. You guys are probably somewhere in Manhattan, given like the history that I know of the typical routes. So be careful, and you have a great driving instructor. Um, so I think you are in good hands. Um, just be safe. That way, you guys can both grab lunch. Do you have any idea what you're gonna have for lunch today? Is it gonna be Chipotle again? I think that's what you had last time. PB and J. All right, that's a lot healthier option. I love PB and J. Although I tell you, usually I opt for just PB. So the J is something where I'm a little too lazy to like make a PB and J sandwich. So usually, if I'm gonna do a sandwich at all, I'll just do a peanut butter sandwich. But I'm basically the only person that, yeah, it's more economical. And I think you kind of realize that, I'm somebody that I could eat peanut butter. Like peanut butter is one of those things that I love eating. So I will just have a jar of peanut butter that I have dedicated for myself, and I'll just eat peanut butter right out of the jar. Um, eh, Nobody else really, I mean, nobody else really eats peanut butter here. So I just find like I have my own peanut butter. If I get really hungry and I need something real quick, like peanut butter is will provide you a nice kind of healthy amount of fat. And which is I think peanut butter is pretty keto. Because it depends on what peanut butter you buy. I think we had this conversation back when I was trying to lose weight. That a lot of peanut butter has like extra ingredients, but if you go to like Trader Joe's, they have a pure peanut butter that is has that oil. And you look at the ingredients, it just says peanuts, nothing else but peanuts. And I'm a farther out from the Trader Joe's now, but I do have an Aldi close by. Aldi has a peanut butter that has the two ingredients are peanuts and sea salt. So I'm like, okay, that's good enough for me. It still has like the oil that you have to kind of mix around, and usually what I have to do is I'll buy it and then I'll put it upside down in the refrigerator. And after let's say a day, usually I'm able to kind of like it'll kind of be nice and congealed, and then I can start eating it. Unless I'm really hungry, and then I'll just mix it around myself. But then it's still like sloppy. So usually what happens is about if I don't wait for it to congeal, it'll be really like syrupy. And then usually what ends up happening, to be honest, is that I'll scoop it in, I'll have it, and then I'll end up dripping a bunch of it on my shirt, and then I look like a slob. And then just like, all right, I got peanut butter on my shirt, and if you can imagine that peanut butter does not look appetizing on a shirt. It just looks like something else. So then I just usually I'll do like a shirt check, but sometimes I just don't catch it. And then I'll find that I've made it like I walked around all day with peanut butter on my shirt that looks gross, and nobody's told me anything. So, just the living the peanut butter life. It's just what it is when you deal with the more natural peanut butter. I think that's probably why a lot of people don't like um, that natural peanut butter, because it's a little bit more. I think everybody kind of grew up with the traditional like Skippy or Peter Pan or whatever the Jif. That regular peanut butter that's just it's already congealed for you. But what I find is that it's congealed and like it looks like that because they put all this other stuff in it. So if you look at the ingredients, whatever that stuff that you can't pronounce, you know what I mean when you see it. I'm not going to be able to tell you what is in that peanut butter, but you look at it, it's like that's the stuff they put in it that keeps it congealed already for you. So even at room temperature, it stays congealed. And I'm like, I wish I knew that before I like consumed like a metric ton of that stuff in my lifetime. But yeah, it's just something that you learn as you go along, and you're like, okay, now I don't go back. Like even though it's cheaper, that's the one thing that as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm gonna pay for the quality peanut butter. And it's just going to be what it is. All right. It's like, I mean, it's about I think twice the price. So I think the regular peanut butter jar will be like $2 at, let's say, at Aldi. And the better peanut butter is like more like $4. So who knows? Maybe it's a little bit more than that. But I pay for it because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to eat this in large quantities, I'm doing better for myself if I pay for the better, more natural peanut butter. Or if I wanted to go really cheap, I could just get peanuts, right? For like $2 at Aldi, you can get the dry roasted peanuts So if you don't want to deal with peanut butter, like the natural stuff, and you want a little bit less messy, you could just buy straight peanuts, like a jar, a pretty decent sized jar at Aldi for like a couple bucks. I think it's like a couple bucks. But I do that sometimes, and then you could just like chug it like you were drinking Gatorade. The choice of true champions. But yeah, that's I think you did much better for yourself than Chipotle, and you probably probably was a lot cheaper. So I'm past the 2 hour mark on this live stream, so I'm putting in some live stream work. So I probably will try to keep this going till about yeah, I like Skippies too. I think Skippies taste good. It's just, again, if you go, I don't know. I think Skippies has a variety of options, but I think if Skippies is what you're eating now, again, I don't. It doesn't matter. Like, buy what you like, what tastes good. I know Skippies taste good. I think Skippies has like that sugar. Whatever they put into is like to sweeten it up a little bit. But if you try the natural stuff, it's kind of like toothpaste, right? Like a lot of people will go with like the toothpaste, like the Tums of Maine and those more natural toothpaste that cost a lot more. But and then they'll have it and they're like, this doesn't taste like Colgate, that I usually use. And then you try it and you're like, and then you get used to it. And then you try to go back to the sweet stuff. And you're like, holy cow, I can't use Colgate anymore. Like, that's kind of how it goes, right? The natural peanut butter I get from Costco, usually you have to stir it vigorously in order to get the sandwich done. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it becomes it's like slop. It's gooey slop, and I guess it spreads okay. But it becomes like a liability. Like you start getting it on your counter if you don't stir it really well. But again, you pay more for it, and you're just like, all right, you gotta pick your spots, right? It's like, what am I gonna like? It's an investment into your your health. Again, I grew up eating Skippies, and whatever other else stuff mom had, given us for peanut butter. So like we made it this far on it, like it couldn't have been so bad. But you're just like, okay, I learned something. Let me see if I could implement this knowledge and to make a better choice. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll turn out like research finds out later out, hey, that stuff that was in Skippies is what kept you alive this far. And now that you're having this natural peanut butter, now you just shorten your lifespan. It's like the Chinese food, like the MSG in Chinese food. Research will come out later. It's like, yeah, it turns out that all that MSG was actually needed for you to keep your system going. It was what's holding all your insides together. And when you stop doing that, when you started going MSG free, now you're gonna fall apart. I don't know. Nobody really has the answer. To be quite honest, I think a lot of this stuff is predetermined anyway. Like people have like a lifespan, like a shelf life, so you could probably extend that shelf life a little bit by making better choices. But all in all, like you're pretty much gonna expire. Like everybody expires when they're supposed to. Like, there's a guy, I don't know, you've probably seen him on social media, but he dedicates his whole life to trying to maximize his lifespan. So like he has some kind of ridiculous goal of like living to like 150. I don't know what he has, like a goal. Like I don't remember what that goal was. But he's trying to he's doing all these things to try to maximize how much he lives. And I kind of admire that, I guess. I mean, it's nice to try to do that kind of stuff. But you never know. Like he could be one of these folks that no matter what you do, he will live to like he's 70 or whatever the number is, and then he leaves the earth, and it's and then you're like, oh man, you should have just had all the cheeseburgers you wanted because you're only gonna go so long. But yeah, nobody knows. I mean, but we do all these things because like I mentioned, like everybody has their path, and we all have our journey that we're going down, and we're like just doing things that make our brains happy, because that's what it's all about in the end of it, right? It's like we're doing these whatever choices we make is because somehow, some way, our brain is pleased with that choice. What the things that we buy and the stuff that we eat. We all do it because it fires off that dopamine in our brain, and it gives us happy feelings, right? When people eat their feelings away. The term comfort food, right? Everybody kind of is familiar with the term comfort food, and sometimes that's pizza, sometimes that's like mashed potatoes and gravy and whatever the stuff is. It's comfort food. It like when you're having a bad day, you go and you pull that out, even though it may not be the best decision. You do it because like if I don't have this, like right now, I'm going to explode. Like nobody wants to deal with me without having this. It's like my my coffee. I was talking when I first started the live stream. There was nobody really on. I think you're the only person that like that's come on and like left a comment. Like we have people pop in and out, but nobody left a comment. So I've been pretty much talking to myself, throughout this whole live stream. And I was talking about like the pre-caffeinated Luke. Like I usually don't start doing this live stream unless I've had at least a cup of coffee, because nobody wants to see me without coffee. It doesn't matter. Nobody will see me without coffee because I won't be able to even function to like get the live stream set up if I don't have like a cup of coffee. I just won't figure it out. I won't do it. Like, I think the only thing I can muster before I make coffee is feeding the cat. And that's because he won't leave me alone unless I give him some food in the morning. Like he literally will he'll like check up on me, so he jumps on the bed. Oh, audio came in broken. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's the first that I hear about that. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I don't know why the audio is broken. Yeah, this is I'm now like, so today I decided to just stream to YouTube. So I remember I had a conversation with you about the software I was using before. What I did yesterday was I did a Mets live stream, which we lost again. And I did it just on YouTube, and it seemed a lot more reliable. So I went and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to stream to YouTube this morning. And that's what I did. But I haven't really had anybody on besides you. I haven't really had anybody on to kind of tell me whether the audio was good or not. I'm using the audio that's coming straight from the camera. At some point, I'll probably get myself a dedicated microphone. I think Chris was on with me yesterday really quick. He didn't stay, but he told me that the audio was a little weird too. So that's good feedback. So I told him about the camera, that I'm using the microphone from the camera. And he said, well, you can get yourself a dedicated mic, which is in the plans anyway. I'm just like doing this stepwise. I'll eventually get myself a real microphone, and maybe like a lapel mic that's wireless. That way I can kind of like, when I'm fidgeting, I'm not going to be like in and out of the cameras, just have it right here or something. Well, I have a pocket, so I could probably put it in my pocket. But yeah, I'm assuming that because my voice, I go from 0 to New York like in a hurry. So like I think what happens is when my voice I mean, you've seen me like talking in person. You know, my voice starts off calm, and then as I start getting more into the conversation, it starts crescendoing. And like I'm so used to that, like at work. At work, people were like, "I'll do this." That's the international signs that Luke, you went to New York levels. Like we're tone it down, you know. Uh, and yeah, and I'm like, and then I'll apologize and then I'll chuckle to myself because I'm like, I don't even know I'm doing it. Like I don't have that filter in my ear doesn't hear my own voice. All I know is that holy cow, like something's been said that I want to like react to, and then my voice just crescendos. And I just forget that like similar to Poppy, I have that one of those voices that can like really burst an eardrum if I really wanted to. Like sometimes I'll do it just to be a jerk. But it really is like one of those, like I think I probably would have been a good hot dog vendor or a peanut vendor at the ballpark because I don't really need amplification. Um, you know, I could get my voice heard. I think the only issue I've had recently is like you know, is when I've run into folks that, you know, are not really good of hearing. I just get, can you speak up? And that blows my mind. I've never in my life have experienced a situation where I've been told to speak up because I'm not being heard. And that's wowing. I'm like, really? Wow. I have not like, Mary's uncle is, almost 100 years old. And yeah, when we go, we'll visit and yeah, we have to speak up because he can't hear everything I'm saying, which is just mind blowing. But yeah, this is like the international. It's like that comes natural when I speak to anybody else. It's just that I go 0 to New York. Oh, we got 2 people in the chat. If you got another person in the chat, then just chime in. Wow, this is like a rarity. I got 2 people in the chat. I had people come in and pop in, and I don't know if you're a family member, a friend, or just somebody on the Fedora Lounge or one of the Facebook groups. But I've been doing Hack Chat in the morning for over 2 hours, mostly talking about the Dobbs 25 that I'm wearing. Oh, all right. So somebody left. So you see that just happened. I don't know if you were able to see that, Patricia. I don't know if it was you that left, Patricia. Are you still there? Somebody's in the chat. I can't tell who's in the chat unless they comment. But yeah, what happens is when I post these on the various chat groups that I'm a member of, what will happen is somebody maybe will see the link and then pop their head in. So I'll see like a number. So right now the numbers, oh yeah, okay, so you're still here. Yeah, somebody else popped their head in. I don't know. It doesn't tell me who it is. I guess that's better than the software that I was using before, where I couldn't even tell somebody was there. Like I was just talking, and I would just have to keep saying, "If you are here and you hear me," and just say something because I won't know if you're here otherwise. But at least with YouTube, so if you decide to do live streaming, Patricia, I would probably recommend that. Is just forget about multi-streaming for now, unless I find out later on that there's a way to do it. Right now, YouTube allows me to see, like it'll say live. It'll tell me how long I've been live. It'll have a little silhouette of a person, and they'll have a number. So that's the number of people in my chat room, and then they'll have a like a little thumbs up like button. And right now, unfortunately, it's 0. So nobody who's popped their head and has liked my video, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'll live with that. I mentioned this early in the live stream. Usually I do this stream for myself. If somebody happens to poke their head in here and decide that they like the content and interact, that's cool. Otherwise, I'm kind of like my jokes. You know, I tell my jokes for an audience of one, which is myself. You know, to make myself laugh first. You know, and as long as I can bear that, I'll keep telling the jokes. And if somebody else happens to laugh because they thought it's funny too, that's just icing on the cake. You know, and like them's the jokes, folks. You know, it can't all be immaterial, right? You know, like, you know, I'm not going to be opening out. Not going to be opening my own comedy special anytime soon. Let's be honest. I don't think I could sell out a one person audience auditorium. So, you know, at that point, I'm just doing this for myself, and only because I've always wanted to do this. You know, now that I have the new setup and the new office, you know, it's just now I got to really think about like how I want to decorate this place. You know, like right now I'm just gonna keep it bare. Like have this yellow wall, which is like everything in this room is yellow and white. So like it's yellow walls, white ceiling, white doors, and a white window. And that's fine. It just, I don't know, yellow's not my favorite color. I mean, I'm not opposed to yellow. I actually have a yellow shirt that I like a lot. It just seems a little drab. So I mean, I would have preferred to have a white wall, but I'm not about to paint this place. I just, well, one, I don't know how to really do a quality paint job, and I think usually you're obligated to keep the walls, you know, return the walls just the way you left them. So I am not messing around with paint. This is inoffensive enough. All right, we lost you. Oh, you're back. Okay, I thought I lost. I saw it go to 0, so I was like, okay. She went to lunch. But yeah, I was just talking about the walls here, that everything's pretty plain, and it's probably gonna stay that way for now until like I get like some kind of inkling to redecorate. And yeah, which I don't know. I'm gonna just take it stepwise. I did like my old office setup. Oh, nice. All right, cool. Good choice. PB&J. Yes, I don't know. I think you know, once I get inspired to do something with this, maybe I will like I'll make it look a little bit more like my old office, which you've probably seen photos of. If like I did even a video of my old office, and I had posted it. I think I sent it out to you and the rest of the family. But yeah, right now, like this whole the house is still not in fire. We just got rid of a bunch of boxes, and ultimately, like we're just gonna take it little by little. It's just moving is such a hassle, you know. You know, nobody likes moving. It's just one of the things that you have to do when you have to do it, and you just get it done, and you hopefully think about like the final end state. So that's why I haven't really taken a whole lot of photos and sent them out to the family, other than like the stock photos, because everything is just not like in place. Like there's still boxes of like our stuff like this. The room next to me, it's got all my hats scattered around and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. 25 years. Yeah, yeah. And mom and dad as well. They've been there 25 years plus because, you know, you get used to a place. Nobody likes to have to, you know, you count on that consistency at the end of the day, right? It's like, all right, I'm going to go back to a familiar place. I just left the house. I dealt with a bunch of characters, maybe some of them not as friendly as you would like, and especially living in New York City, right? And then your only solace is to come back home and then just kick your feet up in a familiar place and recharge until we have to do it again the next day. You know, I think that's pretty much what home does for everybody, besides providing basic shelter and a roof over your head for when it's raining and cold outside. It is a sanctuary. So right now, unfortunately, our sanctuary is not as it's not in its final form, but it will slowly get there. So I don't know if we're going to be here 25 years, but yeah, it's for right now, it's home, and we're liking the place. You know, one thing we noticed about this neighborhood, and I had read about on Nextdoor, is the amount of what's called lantern flies. Have you heard about this? Lantern flies? I think they're called lantern flies or lantern bugs or lantern insects. They're like these spotted insects that are invasive. And like they're all over Northern Virginia now, and they're spreading through the US. So if you don't have them yet, then you probably will have them soon because they're just taking over. I don't know where they originate from, but they're kind of weird looking. They remind me a little bit of like cicadas from China. Okay, there you go. Yeah, they're all over Northern Virginia now. And what they've done is they issued these. If you spot these, kill them. I don't know. They're fast. That's what I'll say. They are fast buggers. They are not easily killed. So they move really quickly, and I don't know. Yeah. I think we might have lost you. At least the bug, the follower count, the stream count went to 0. But that's okay. You're back. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go and get some more coffee. I'll be right back. There, back. Got my coffee. This is the last of it. I gotta set up. I gotta step out of the car. Okay, yeah, that. I just got the poured out the final bit of coffee I had for this morning, and I've been trying to just make sure I don't rebrew another pot, only so I can limit my coffee intake. So I switched to half calf, and I don't have no idea like if that was a good move or not. Like I've heard conflicting stories about decaf and half calf. So I don't know if you heard the same thing, but essentially the process, a lot of folks have talked about that the process that's used to decaffeinate coffee is not good for you. I don't know what to believe. I don't know enough about coffee and the coffee making process. I do know that half calf and decaf coffee is probably not as tried and true as the regular coffee that one drinks. So doing anything extra, man-made is probably not good. But I just do it to kind of limit my caffeine intake because I drink so much coffee. Like I figured, okay, I don't want to go switch to decaf and then not have like any energy. But at the same time, if I'm drinking like insane quantities of coffee, I don't want it to be fully caffeinated because I'll be bouncing off the walls probably. Let's see. Yeah, I talked to mom and dad yesterday, and they're doing well. Mom was talking about how she saw my video, but she doesn't know how to type on the video. And I'm like, all right, well, Patricia can show you how to work that. It's pretty easy. I know she could figure it out, but she probably just is being shy and not wanting to interact, you know. So I don't want to like force the issue. If she really doesn't want to do it, then don't press the issue with her. I don't want her to be uncomfortable. She was actually uncomfortable when she got on Facebook, and then she said she got so overwhelmed that she ended up like getting rid of her Facebook because she was just too overwhelmed by it. You know, I know she likes to mess around on YouTube and watch YouTube videos. So I know she's on the platform because she goes and does the knitting, the crochet videos. I've seen her do that on her iPad, but you know, I don't want her to like feel like she's forced to have to like interact with me, especially like every single time. You know, none of you guys are. You know, it's good because at least we're staying in touch. But you know, I'm not obligating anybody to be on the stream and listening to the stream. That's nobody needs to be held hostage and listen to me. But it is good that at least having folks on, even if it's just one person, besides providing conversation, which keeps me from having to do a monologue here. It also gives me like the feedback for like, you know, how the video is looking and how the sound is coming through. So that's always helpful. Like I said, if I keep getting like the sound is all jacked up comments, that'll motivate me to just get a microphone. Like even if it's just a stopgap to kind of fill the need until I get a better microphone. You know, I'll just take it stepwise. I've been trying to look for stuff like on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and stuff like that. You know, kind of like how I get my hats. I just see what's out there that people don't want anymore, or they are willing to let go cheap, and then use that and kind of see if I can repurpose it. Because, you know, if I can avoid having to buy some new stuff and pay top dollar for some brand new piece of equipment, and then find out later that it was a bad piece of equipment to buy. It's just one less thing I have to get rid of or give away or whatnot, you know. And speaking of which, I mean, I was going to ask you, you know, no obligation, but I was trying to give David one of my desktop computers. I just got, I inherited a desktop computer, and I have my old one that I no longer need. So if you want it, you can have it, but you don't, no obligation. I just bring it with me on when I head up over there in, what is it, a week or so. I'm gonna be up there, and so not this Friday, but next. No, sorry. When am I up there? I think it's Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday I'll be up there. So if you want a desktop computer, then it's yours. It's running Windows 10 right now, but I could set it up however I could figure something out if you don't want to run Windows 10. I don't know. I think everybody's all about, like, I think when I offered it to David, he said he didn't have the space for it, and I know that you're not in the biggest space as well. Oh, look, we have somebody else join us. Hey, welcome, whoever's out there. Yeah, you're an Apple person. Understood. Fancy. You're a fancy Apple person. Yeah, I'm over here like slumming it with the Android. That's okay. Yeah, no worries. I like Apple stuff too. It's just the Android stuff and like the Windows stuff is usually a lot cheaper. Anyway, if you're joining me on this live stream, I don't know who you are. Drop a comment if you want to talk about hats or anything else in between. Just about at just over the 2.5 hour mark on this live stream. I've been trying to do this regularly to talk about hats. So the segment for right now is called Hat Chat in the Morning. Doesn't mean that there won't be a hat chat in the afternoon or a hat chat in the evening. But what I'm going to try to do is set up this live stream to happen regularly. If not daily, then at least every other day. I don't know. Whenever I like feeling like I can get online and not make a complete butt of myself. We got 3 people on the chat. Wow, that's a momentous occasion. We got 3 people on this chat. Drop a comment if besides Patricia. I don't know who else is out there, but drop a comment if you want to, and if you don't want to drop a comment, that's fine. Hit up with a like, maybe subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I don't know, something. Oh, we lost them. We lost 2 people. I scared them away with my ugly mug. Oh, we got it. We gained another person. That's cool. Anyway, welcome if you are new to the channel. I have no idea. I shared this link out with a lot of folks in my hat community. And if you're joining us, then welcome. If hopefully you stay. And I think they took off. It could also be, Patricia, that somebody found on YouTube, they found that somebody was live and saw the title and they're like, oh, let's see what this is about. Then they saw, oh, this is just a jerk with a hat talking into the void, and then they said, I'm out of here. I think that also happens, which is fine. If enough people do that and they're like, you know what, this jerk is actually not so bad after all. Maybe they'll stick around and subscribe. Maybe you can chat. Anyway, I forgot where I was at with that whole morass that I was talking about. Then I was like, oh, let's talk about a desktop computer. Yeah, you said you liked Apple. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm just trying to find a new home for that desktop. I actually have it up for sale if anybody wants to purchase it. It's not expensive at all. I think I got it for $100. I think it's for sale for like $100. But obviously, if it's family, I'll give it away. Somebody that could use it. I just don't think a lot of people use desktops as much as they used to, unless they do video games, which I don't do. But doesn't mean I don't have desktops. I got like 3 desktops. I don't need that much. I'm actually streaming this from a desktop, and this one's actually set to play video games, but I don't play video games. Right now, it's a pretty powerful computer, but I just have it set up as a streaming computer because it has a dedicated graphics card. And well, it's probably the most powerful computer I own right now. So that's what it is. But yeah. If you know anybody else, I don't know, Willie. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Patricia. Thanks for stopping in, and thanks for yeah, you're probably like my most my best most reliable viewer. So I appreciate it. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. We're at the 2 hour 34 minute mark here on Hat Chat in the Morning. Sad? Well, what's sad? Okay, I don't know. Okay, man. Well, maybe you didn't. Maybe you already took off before. I think you took off already. But hopefully, you're not sad. Uh, but I'm certainly not sad. Um, anyway, yeah, we're at the 2 hour and 30. Well, now approaching 35-minute mark on this live stream. Um, you know, I'm gonna keep doing this because I am entertained by it. And hopefully other people that watch this, if nobody's watching this now, maybe they'll watch it later down the road, and that's cool enough for me. No skin off my nose, as we've learned from our previous interaction. I don't do this to. I didn't do this to become world famous. Um, if that happens, well, I guess I'll have to deal with being world famous. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think I'll still be just a jerk talking into the void. Um, but yeah, I figure I'll try to make Hat Chat in the morning a regular segment, um, and hopefully it'll catch on. Again, I don't need tons of people on here. I had one viewer that joined me, DCA321. Thank you for kind of being my first real non-family viewer that interacted with me on the channel. I think I had some people poke their head in, but never really come here and then chat. So you are you have been the only one besides family. And you asked some really great questions that blew my mind, because I was like, that was exactly what I was hoping for when I started this channel. So thank you again, DCA321, wherever you are. And yeah, I think what I'm gonna do now, it's about 20 minutes to noon on Eastern Standard Time right now. So I figure I'll try to take this live stream up until I'll take it up to the 3 hour mark. So that'll give me about 23 more minutes to sit here and try to capture your attention. We'll see if anybody joins. If for some reason somebody joins before that, I'll obviously stick around and engage. Otherwise, if I don't have anybody join, then I will just close out the stream. It'll get posted right back to YouTube. Somebody can sift through this morass of material, the 3 hour material, at their leisure, and then get myself something to eat. I basically part of the habits I talked about, the walking that I've been doing. The other thing that I've been picking back up, and my family will know this, is that I'm starting to try to incorporate intermittent fasting back into my routine, only because I feel like I function a whole lot better under that regimen, under that kind of that schedule. And usually what it just does is, like, when I'm doing it right and I'm doing it and I'm locked in, I won't really have anything for breakfast besides black coffee. I'll have some black coffee for breakfast, and I won't eat at all until after noon Eastern Standard Time. So what I'll do is I'll have my first meal after that noon time slot. And then I'll try to eat whatever I'm going to eat for the next 8 hours. So between noon and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will try to have all the meals I'm going to have. And right at the 8 o'clock mark, it could be sooner. Right at that 8 o'clock mark, though, is a strict cutoff where I won't eat or have any kind of like non-water beverage or anything caloric. So I have my fizzy drinks. Like anybody that's seen my live streams at this point, besides drinking coffee, they will see me chugging on these fizzy drinks that I buy at Aldi. And they're basically just carbonated water. They're not necessarily, I wouldn't call them health food, because they do have natural flavors. Um, Natural flavors are not good, so I don't recommend you consuming a bunch of natural flavors. It's just kind of like I've not found a fizzy drink that doesn't have these natural flavors, and it don't get fooled by the term natural. There's nothing natural about the natural flavors. It's just the nomenclature that's given, for extra stuff that they add in there for coloring and whatever have you. Um, but I find that I haven't really found a fizzy drink that does not contain natural flavors. If and when I do, and if it's convenient to obtain, then I'll switch over. But right now, I've been doing these Belvie natural, I mean fizzy, these Belvie fizzy drinks that are 0 calorie from Aldi, because they're relatively cheap, and they taste pretty okay. It just provides a kind of another source of hydration, that's not water. Um, and that keeps me hydrated throughout the day and hopefully not eating, um, excessively, right? I eat. I just try to get in these things where, I'm not overeating throughout the day. Grazing, I think that's the term to use. Grazing throughout the day has always been the enemy, for me. And I find that the intermittent fasting gives me a window that I'll allow myself to, like, I'm really good. So I'm not good at setting a schedule, I'm good at keeping a schedule. So once I have it in my mind that I have a strict schedule, a strict window where I will eat between noon and 8 p.m., I have a hard time breaking that schedule. Like, I'll do it if I'm forced, like me, it's the social aspect, right? If somebody invites me to a late dinner, or I have company over, um, I'm not going to eat with them, right? Because like there is a social component to eating, and breaking bread with with your friends and family that I won't. I'll try not to violate that. It all depends on what I'm trying to get done that specific moment. But I try not to be that person that, like, oh, I'm not going to eat because I'm in such and such. If I'm forced, like if I really am like trying to hit a goal, weight wise or lifestyle wise or whatnot, then I'll do that. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable, um, advocating for myself. It's just I really do enjoy, mealtime with friends and family, and I try to not have that be an impediment. Like whatever lifestyle situation I have going on at the moment, in terms of my diet, I try not to let that be a impediment for enjoying that family and friend time, because I really do cherish it. Food is just, I mean, if you grew up in a family like I did, um, where food is just inextricable from from your what as time with friends and family, then you do the same probably. Um, at this point, I'm just not willing to sacrifice a lot of that in the hopes of just losing a couple pounds. I did lose a significant amount of weight, from my heaviest. I think, for those folks and friends and family that knew me when I was 300 pounds, they're like, well, what are you doing? Like, you don't need to lose more weight. Um, yeah, it's like, I agreed. I'm not 300 pounds anymore, but I am still carrying an excess amount of weight. So I'd like to not carry that weight. I don't think it'll do anything for my head, wearing my hats any better. But hopefully my clothes will fit a lot better, and that's good enough for me. Um, I'm just not trying to go on a diet, because as you'll hear a lot often, when you say you're going on a diet, it almost connotes that at some point you will go off your diet. What I'm trying to do is build a sustainable lifestyle, one that's healthy and allows me to enjoy life. You know, when I go travel, which I've done a lot more in the last couple of years than I've ever done. You know, I've done 2 stints in Europe, which, you know, I was 40 years old. I'd never been to Europe. Um, you know, I think at the age of 40, I was 300 pounds, and um, I'd hardly gone anywhere internationally. So this is one of those things where I had set as a goal to do a lot more traveling. It was just one of those things we talk about, like continuous improvement. It's a thing I always wanted to do, and I always talked about it as I'll do that when I retire, right? No, no, I'll do it now. Um, Only because, well, one, I have the means to do it. I have the health to do it. Um, I've worked with too many people that have retired and kicked the bucket, like right after they retired, or just shortly before they retired. Which, man, I you know, that's and they probably had big plans. It just, you're not promised tomorrow. That's why I started this YouTube channel. That's why I'm trying to kick off healthy habits, and maintain them, not just to kick them off, but maintain healthy habits, because I don't know. I don't know what my shelf life is. You know, I'm just trying to do good looks, man. Just trying to do good looks and live a good life. Share what I have to share with the world, and leave a body of work, right? Um, I think these videos, uh, assuming that YouTube doesn't go away, they will live in perpetuity. And my hope is that they'll go just like my hats. Hopefully, they'll live beyond my time here on this earth, and somebody will find them and enjoy them beyond my capacity to continue to producing this content. Um, Again, that sounds like a really lofty goal, and you know, who knows? I'm just trying to make a little bit noise in this universe and see if the universe talks back to me, and doesn't, you know, kick me away. You know, I think that's one of my favorite bits from George Carlin. Um, Anybody a big fan of George Carlin, definitely drop me a comment. George Carlin, besides being a brilliant comedian, had some of the best observations on life. And I think beyond the stuff that he's really famous for, like the 7 dirty words that you can't say. He had a great bit on the idea of entropy. You know, it's like, hey, folks, I'm a big believer in entropy. You know, everybody's like all big on, like, you know, saving the planet and all this other stuff. Not me. I'm a believer that entropy is a thing. And I'm probably butchering this, but you know, the idea is that if you believe in the concept of entropy, that the universe exists and it's alive and well, and mankind is kind of limited in its ability to kind of into telling, you know, the universe what to do. You know, like the universe will decide one day, is like, boop, you're gone. You know, and you will be. And it's a little morbid probably, but you know, George Carlin, right? But I thought it was hilarious and also insightful at the same time, right? I was like, that's higher order comedy if you really like think about it. The stuff that can like make you laugh, but also like really just think. And it makes you appreciate what was going on in the head of that person that conjured up this content. Like George Carlin, a lot of people probably know George Carlin as Rufus from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. George Carlin obviously was like there was a lot more going on in his head than a lot of people give him credit for. And same for a lot of comedians. You know, I have a high, deep level respect for um, a whole host of comedians in terms of respecting what their craft and the mindset that manages to produce that craft and do so steadily. You know, Dave Chappelle, um, another guy who sounds like Dave Chappelle, like meaning the name Dave Attell. I don't know. There's a whole host of comedians. Chris Rock, obviously Eddie Murphy, the Red Fox, even Jamie Foxx. You know, so many comedians. I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of them that I really enjoy their content. Jim Gaffigan, holy cow, Jim Gaffigan, love his stuff. Steven Maniscalco, if I pronounce Sebastian Maniscalco. That's it, Sebastian Maniscalco. Great comedian. Has a great movie out, I think, that came out on Prime with Robert De Niro called About My Father. So I don't really do movie reviews, but I can. I'm a big movie buff. Besides doing the gangster movies, I'm really big into comedy movies. And About My Father, I think, is one of those movies, kind of like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where if you kind of like grew up in an ethnic household, you kind of watch that movie. My big Crazy Rich Asians is another one. Eh, eh, what was the other one? The Big Sick. The Big Sick. There are these movies that are like have like they're kind of coming of age, kind of ethnic movies that even if you're not coming from that particular ethnic background, you kind of relate to. And About My Father was one of those that like really hit home for me. And so yeah, in terms of movie recommendations of folks, movies that you might not think are a decent watch, I'd give that a watch, you know? I really enjoyed it. It was one of those like movies where Robert De Niro kind of like does comedy. I think everybody kind of knows the Analyze This, Analyze That movies. He did Meet the Fockers, where he did more of his comedy stuff that he's not as well known for. But Robert De Niro can definitely do comedy. And About My Father is along those lines. And he does it really well and comes across as really, you know, as an old Sicilian dad playing against Sebastian Maniscalco's you know, son of said Italian, Sicilian dad, really hits home. Yeah, just really good movie. Gave me all the feel goods. So yeah, recommend that. I'm now at the 2-minute 53 mark. We're already close to that noon mark. I am gonna let some of this OCD take me all the way to the 3-hour mark. I don't know. It seems like it's kind of a good metric. I don't know how I managed to produce content for 3 hours. I think I had a total of one person, my sister, kind of interact with me on this live stream, but I've somehow made it happen through the power of coffee, half calf, if you will, even. So I managed to do getting to do a 3-hour stream on just half calf. And I'm just gonna keep doing this. I don't know if this is a 3-hour hat chat in the morning is gonna be able to be sustainable. Like I don't care. I could be on here for 5 minutes live, and if it's a good 5 minutes, that's good enough for me. But if I can do 3 hours and people are entertained by it, good for you, and also good for me. Again, remember, I'm doing this mostly for me, and if you happen to enjoy it, great. Anyhow, I feel like before I close out, I just want to make sure for anybody that's watching this or comes to watch this, the original motivation for this was to kind of show off the hat of the day, which is my gray Dobbs 25 Golden Coach Fedora. Love this hat, and I have other hats, so we will see if I can the next hat chat in the morning or hat chat in the evening. It doesn't mean I won't go live again today. So today is August 7th, 2025. So this will be the conclusion of Hat Chat in the morning. But there could be a Hat Chat in the afternoon. There could also be Hat Chat in the evening. There will be no Mets live stream today because the Mets are off trying to recapture their winning ways, hopefully. So tomorrow they'll play again. They'll be playing the red hot Milwaukee Brewers team. We'll see, man. We really need to win bad. The Milwaukee Brewers seem like a tough team to run into right now for any squad. But this is baseball, right? I mean, this is why you play the games. The Mets have a tremendous team on paper, but it hasn't really translated. We made some really good acquisitions and by the trade deadline, and this team is smoking on paper, but it hasn't really translated lately into wins. And hopefully they can turn it around before it's too late. All we really need to do is get really hot before, by the time it comes down to the playoffs. So one, we need to get hot enough where we get into the playoffs, sneak in there if we have to, and then really play our butts off once we get into the playoffs and maybe ride a hot streak into hopefully a championship. We haven't won a championship since 1986. So we're approaching, 40 years since the last New York Mets championship. And I remember I was a young boy watching the Mets win that 1986 championship. And all I could think about was, holy cow, this is the first of so many that I'm going to see in my lifetime. And we haven't had one championship net. We sniffed. We made it to the World Series, I believe, a couple times. We did it in 2000 against the Yankees and lost against the Yankees, as tough as that is. When we had Mike Piazza and his crew, and then we went back in 2015 and lost against those Royals, the Kansas City Royals, which were a tremendous squad. I didn't think the Mets would be able to do much, and we didn't. That's the one we had, I believe, DeGrom and what's the other guy's name? Noah Syndergaard throwing for us. And I think we eked out 1 or 2 wins against the Royals and then promptly lost the World Series. So we managed to make some noise, and last year was exciting. We didn't get even to the World Series, but we did well. We just ran into a tough Dodger team that ended up winning it all. And, you can't really, they were a better team than us. They were a better team than everybody, and that's why they won it all. So, hat tip to the Dodgers and Dodgers fans out there. You guys are still tremendous, tremendous squad, and I hope the Mets can have a shot at, rematching you guys in the playoffs this year. If not, then best of luck to you. Best of luck to everybody else that does make the playoffs if we don't make it. Maybe not the Yankees and Phillies. I do feel a certain way about them. If you happen to be a Yankee fan, I got them in my family. Phillies fans, sorry, but you guys are our division rival, and you guys have a tremendous fan base, but I'm not included in that. We had Phil that jumped on this live stream who works. It lives in South Jersey and is surrounded by Phillies fans. Tough one, there's, I live in the DC area. We're surrounded by Nats fans, but they're not the same as, let's say, Mets fans, Yankees fans, and Phillies fans, or even Dodgers fans. They just don't have the history behind them like, they used to be the Montreal Expos. So the Nats, even though they have won a championship in 2019, I believe was the year they won it, and that excited the fan base, but they're still developing that. that. So I do get out to see the games when the Mets are in town. And I'll do that on the 20th. I'll actually catch my Mets against the Nats on August 20th with my DC Mets. So I look forward to doing that. Anyway, it looks like we're approaching the 3-hour mark here. So I'm going to sign off. I haven't had anybody else hop onto the stream, and that's cool. So we had Hat Chat in the morning here on August 7th at 2025. For those that popped their head in, thank you so much. And for those that see this later on, I hope you enjoy this content. There'll be more to come. Hopefully, slowly but surely, this channel takes off. Otherwise, I'll still be talking in the void. I'll be happy to talk in the void. I am okay with that. Anyhow, if this is Luke signing off for Hat Chat in the morning, thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you at the next one. Ciao.